Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll solve the problem Meeting Rooms 2, Leetcode 253. And like Meeting Rooms 1, you can choose to solve this problem for free on Leetcode, as it's a premium problem on Leetcode. This problem is part of Blind 75, a curated list of essential coding interview questions. You can find the full list linked in the description below. Be sure to check it out. Now to the problem. This is one of my favorite problems. Here, we are given an array or list of meeting time intervals, each consisting of start and end times, and we have to find the minimum number of conference rooms required. This problem is a step up from meeting rooms 1, where we just checked if one person could attend all meetings. But here, we are trying to accommodate everyone by providing enough rooms. Let's look at an example to make this crystal clear. Here, we have 3 meetings. Let's call them A, B, and C. Meeting A runs from time 0 to 30. Since it is the first meeting, it definitely needs a room. Let's assign it to room 1. Next is meeting B, running from time 5 to 10. When it starts at 5, room 1 is still occupied by meeting A, which goes until 30. So, meeting B needs a new room. Let's assign it to room 2. Finally, we have meeting C, which runs from 15 to 20. When it starts at 15, room 1 is still busy with meeting A. But let's check room 2, and we can see that it is free because meeting B already finished at time 10. So, meeting C can reuse room 2, and in the end, we needed minimum of 2 rooms to hold all the meetings. Also, it is important to note that if meetings touch exactly end to end, they are considered non-overlapping. For example, if meeting B stopped at 15 and meeting C started at 15, they could both use the same room, like room 2 in our scenario, without needing a third room. So, minimum number of rooms in this case also stays 2. Now, the beauty of this problem is that it's a core pattern. You might see it disguised in many different ways during an interview. For example, it might be framed as interval scheduling, where instead of meetings, you have jobs and you need to find the minimum machines to run them. Or it could be the famous maximum elephant population problem. Here, instead of meeting times, you have the birth and death years of elephants and you need to find the year with the highest population. It also appears as peak party attendance, where you track guest entry and exit times to find the busiest moment at a party. You might even see it as a logistics problem, like minimum bus platforms needed for a schedule, or simply minimum classrooms required for a university. No matter the story, the underlying logic is exactly the same, which is to find the maximum intervals overlap count. Alright, so how do we efficiently find the minimum number of rooms? When we visualize these intervals on a timeline, we can see exactly when new meetings start and when old ones end. So, the first core idea is to think of each meeting as having 2 distinct events, a start and an end. Why? Because when we encounter a start event, a meeting begins and we need a room for it, which increases the room count by 1. And when we see an end event, a meeting finishes and a room becomes free, reducing the required room count by 1. So, after we have separated the intervals into start and end, the next core point is to effectively go through these events in a chronological order. So basically, we should sort these events. And in the interval problems, typically, a common first step is to sort the original meeting intervals by their start times. This already helps us process meetings in the order they begin. But here, we also want to know when we encounter the end times. So, we should sort these arrays independently in the ascending order. Now, we can iterate on these two arrays using a two-pointer approach, simulating the processing of each event in the order of time following a sweep line algorithm. So for that, we can take 2 pointers, start pointer for the sorted start times, and n pointer for the sorted end times. And we move these pointers forward in the array wherever the time is smaller. Let's also initialize the counter to count current rooms required. And during the iteration, the maximum of the number of rooms required will be our answer. So now let's see this in action. We see that the start pointer points to time 0 and end pointer points to time 10. And since time at start pointer is smaller, we process it first. And here that means a meeting has started. So we increment the required meeting count to 1 and update the maximum rooms required so far also equal to 1. And since we process the time at start pointer, we advance it forward. And now the start pointer is at time 5 and end pointer is still at 10. And since again 5 is less than 10, another meeting starts. So we increment the current rooms required to 2. And since it is more than the max rooms, we update the max to 2 as well and move the start pointer forward. Now the start pointer points to time 15 and the end pointer is at 10. And since 15 is now more than 10, we have an earliest event where the meeting is ending. So a room becomes free and hence count of rooms required will drop to 1. And this time we advance the end pointer forward. And here start pointer is now at 15 and end pointer is at 20. And since 15 is less than 20, a new meeting has started. So we again increment the number of rooms required to 2 and maximum rooms required is still 2. And we move the start pointer forward. And now start pointer is out of bounds. So we continue processing the remaining end events following the end pointer which is at 20. So another meeting ends. So now current required rooms drop to 1 and again we move the end pointer forward and come to time 30. And since another meeting ends, we decrement the count of current rooms required to 0 and this was the last meeting which has ended, as now the end pointer is also out of bounds. So finally we return the maximum room required equal to 2 in this case. Now let's look at a slightly different scenario, specifically where an end time and a start time coincide. For example, if we had end time as 15 here instead of 10, then the meeting B ends at 15 and meeting C starts at 15. But we know that this is not an overlap, as we can easily free up the room before the meeting C starts. So when going through the events on the timeline, our algorithm should prioritize the end time and process it first. So again, we separate and sort the events into two different arrays, start and end times, and scan through these arrays using the 2 pointers. And similar to the previous example, we process the start events 0 and 5, increasing the current rooms required to 2 and maximum rooms required will also be 2. And the start pointer advances to index 2 pointing to 15. And now comes the crucial part where both start and end pointers are at time 15. And now to advance the time forward, our priority is freeing up a room first. So in case of equality, we will process the events at the end time first. So we process the event for meeting ending at 15 and the current rooms required drop to 1 and we advance the end pointer forward. And now start pointer is still at 15 but the end pointer is at 20. So we process the starting event at 15 and current required rooms rise to 2 again and maximum rooms remains 2 and we advance the start pointer forward, which now goes out of bounds, and so we process the remaining end events 20 and 30, eventually bringing down current rooms required back to 0. And throughout the iteration, the maximum rooms we needed simultaneously was 2 and it never spiked to 3. So our logic correctly handles these boundaries, ensuring optimal reuse. Now the time complexity of this approach is O of n log n, dominated by the initial sorting of start and end times array. And then the 2 pointer scan itself takes O of n time, and the space complexity will be O of n. as we are creating two separate arrays for start and end times. Here is a quick code walkthrough of the algorithm we just talked about, with Java code on the left and Python on right. We start by extracting all the start times into one and all the end times into another. In Java, we can do it by initializing the arrays and then looping on the intervals to extract them. In Python, we simply use list comprehension to get the start and end events. This is a crucial step for our chronological scan. Then we sort both the start times and end times arrays independently. In Java, we use arrays sort method, and in Python, we use lists sort method. Next, we initialize a few variables where we initialize start and end pointers to 0. Then we set current rooms to 0. It tracks how many rooms are currently busy, and max rooms also to 0, which stores the peak occupancy we have seen so far. Then we start a while loop which runs as long as our start pointer is within the bounds of the start times array. Inside the loop, we compare the current start and end times. If the time at the start pointer is less than the time at the end pointer, then this means a new meeting begins before any currently occupied room becomes free. So we need an additional room, and hence we increment current rooms and move the start pointer forward to consider the next meeting start. Else, if we are here, this means that the time at the end pointer is less than or equal to the time at the start pointer. This means an existing meeting has ended or is ending right now, before or at the same time the current meeting starts. So a room has become free. We can conceptually reuse this room. So we decrement current rooms and advance the end pointer to the next ending event. After each step, we update max rooms with the maximum value of current rooms seen so far. Finally, after the loop, max rooms holds our answer, which is the minimum number of rooms required. Also, in this approach, we use the word priority a few times, and that leads us to another common optimal approach, which involves using Minheap or priority queue. Here, we can use Minheap to track the end times of currently occupied rooms, effectively achieving a similar result by always knowing which room frees up earliest. The time and space complexity for this approach are also O of n log n and O of n respectively. You can find the detailed code implementation for this approach in the description below. So that's all for this video. I hope this video was useful to you. If it was, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might benefit from it. If you haven't subscribed the channel yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss an update. Your support helps me create more content like this. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.